Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. We are on our last week answering questions that have come in. Again, thank you so much for submitting your questions. This is the question, right? Obviously, the question is from the Bible. They ask, in Ezekiel 37, when God breathed life back into the dry bones of the dead soldiers, were they a completely new creation, or were they brought back from the dead, whether they were in heaven or hell? That's a great question. So context here. If it's been a while since you've read this, or maybe you don't even know this story. This is the prophet Ezekiel, and God is using this prophet to bring life back into the land of Israel, because the Israelites, God chosen people, they were being disobedient, and because of that, they were in exile. They were in all these things that God didn't want them to be in, and so what God did is he chose prophets to speak on God's behalf, to bring life, to bring correction to God's people. So let's read Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 through 10. It says this: The Lord took hold of me, talking about Ezekiel, and I was carried away by the Spirit of the Lord to a valley filled with bones. He led me all around among the bones that covered the valley floor. They were scattered everywhere across the ground and were completely dried out. Then he asked me, Son of man, can these bones become living people again? It's a great question. You'd be like, imagine like God putting yourself, bringing you to this valley, and just skeletons everywhere. And not even skeleton. I mean, just bones, because they weren't even. They were scattered all around. What would you say? Like, hey, could these be living people again? And be the obvious questions like, no. How is that even possible? O sovereign Lord, I replied, you alone know the answer to that. What a great, what a great answer to that question. It's like, hey, I don't know, you know, right? Then he said to me, speak a prophetic message to these bones and say, dry bones, listen to the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Look, I am going to put breath into you and make you live again. I will put flesh and muscles on you and cover you with skin. I will put breath into you and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord. So I spoke this message just as he told me. Suddenly, as I spoke, there was rattling noise all around the valley. The bones of each body came together and attached themselves as complete skeletons. I mean, this would be pretty scary and pretty amazing at the same time. I mean, here you see in front of you an impossibility. I mean, there's no way that this would happen but God, right? Then, as I watched, muscles and flesh formed over the bones, then skin formed to cover their bodies, but they still had no breath in them. Then he said to me, speak a prophetic message to the winds, Son of man. Speak a prophetic message and say this. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Come, O breath, from the four winds, breathe into these dead bodies so they may live again. So I spoke the message as he commanded me, and the breath came into their bodies. They all came to life and stood up on their feet, a great army. I mean, crazy story, crazy interaction between this prophet and God the Father. So the question is, where did these people come from? Were they already dead? Was it a new creation? What were they? Did they come from hell? Did they come from heaven? What? It's a great question that I am so sorry the Bible isn't clear on that. And so, was it a completely new creation? Well, we see skeletons are a remnant of what life was, right? And so you can look at that and say, well, they were living at one point. If it was completely dust and it was formed, then we could probably say it was a new creation, because that's how God created Adam. And then then God created Eve out of the bone of Adam. And so I, again, I'm so sorry. I wish I could be like, yes, this is the answer. They are a new creation, or no, this is a creation from hell or from heaven. I don't know, and the Bible actually doesn't say too what actually happens with this great army. We have to look at it as far as the why. Why did God do this? God was giving clear messages to this prophet Ezekiel, and what he's promising is this. He's saying, hey, would you bring life to Israel, to God's people, to my chosen people? I will use you. Just listen to me. And what we see here, and this is what we have to understand too. Like God is always giving us opportunities, and sometimes those opportunities are tests. And it's like the preparation for the real thing. That God is asking us to do things in preparation for what He actually wants us to do. And so what we have to ask ourselves is this: what is God preparing us for? And I know that the original question was, where, or, where were these people, or where did they come from? Again, I don't know, but I want to bring some purpose into this story, because this is why the Bible is living and active. This is what we can learn and grow from, because I think with anything with the Bible, it's like we have to understand why was it written, and then also what is it for? How can I apply it to my life right now? You see, God chose to use Ezekiel just like He wants to use you, and He wants to speak life to you so that way you can speak life to others and bring life to others. I think that is the most important thing how we can get out of this story right here in Ezekiel chapter 37. So ask yourself and ask God. You say, God, what do you want me to do? God, how do I want to be used by you? God, would you open up opportunities for me to be used by you, because there is power in the name of God. And that's what God was doing to Ezekiel, and Ezekiel was fulfilling God's purpose in his life, just like He wants you to do the very same thing. Hopefully that's encouragement. I'm sorry for not completely answering your question because I don't fully know, but we do know this: God is good. He has a plan and purpose for you, just like He did for Ezekiel. Let's choose to say yes to Him today. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in today. Thank you so much. And I encourage you to tune in tomorrow. It's Worship Wednesday, a day that we get to choose to listen to a song and worship Him. Looking forward to seeing you there.